Good morning, everyone. This is Father Nate, missionary priest in Italy. And thanks for joining us today, August 25th, on No Greater Delight, our podcast on Marian feasts and Marian meditations. Well, today we have a great number of celebrations. We'll start off with what the Abbot Orsini tells us. He says they celebrate Madonna del Monte Berico, near Vicenza, Italy, and also Madonna del Rossano, in Calabria, Italy. Now that one, we're told that it's said that the Saracens, seeking to surprise the town of Rossano, where they had already planted ladders, were repulsed by Our Lady, who appeared attired in purple and holding in her hand a lighted torch. This so terrified the Saracens that they took to flight. That's interesting there. Also today, we celebrate Nuestra Señora del Rosario in Paysandú, in Uruguay, because it was today, August 25th, 1860, that the cornerstone was laid of the new building to replace the little thatched parish of Saint Benedict the Moor in Paysandú, which was a growing settlement in western Uruguay on the Argentine border. In 1864, when it was almost done, the new church was destroyed by Brazilian cannon fire. It was then rebuilt in the 1870s, dedicated to Our Lady of the Rosary, along with Saint Benedict the Moor. In 1882, fire destroyed the main altar and the statue of Our Lady of the Rosary. The present statue was blessed on May 25th, 1886. And in 1898, an Italian artist, Antonio Buscaglia, decorated the interior with paintings in fresco and tempera. This is part of the reason why Pope Pius XII designated the church as a minor basilica in 1949. We also celebrate today Notre Dame de Guéson in Courmayeur in Aosta. That's in northern Italy towards the French border. So this sanctuary, this shrine, is actually on the top of a mountain, Mount Chétif. It's 2,343 meters high. At one point, there was an old cross there, and then a small statue was put up there by a devout woman in 1690, right? And then there was a small little chapel that was made there, which was destroyed by the ice. And finally, they built the current church, right? As a result of a vow made on March 5th, 1945, they put a huge statue of the Madonna there on top of the mountain. Why do we celebrate today? Well, this beautiful, the little church that was made was entrusted to the Lugan contractor Philippe Franchini. And so he actually did a lot of work there. And the church was finally blessed on August 25th, 1868, right? There's also a tradition that says the statue is miraculous, but I couldn't find any information on that. Also, today, as our last thing we're celebrating today, is Madonna delle Grazie in Racconigi in Cuneo, right? Our Lady of Grace. So we're told that Our Lady appeared in 1493. That's not what they celebrate today. But anyways, that's important to understand the story. So we're told that, according to different sources, that on the evening of July 16th, 1493, along the banks of the Marca River, Our Lady appeared to a deaf-mute shepherd by the name of Gio Antonio Chiavassa, right? He was healed both in his hearing and in his speech, so he could both hear and talk. And he immediately went back to the city, where he gave news of this presumed miracle to the notable people of the place, who, as a sign of thankfulness, had her image painted on wood, and this image is still conserved in the shrine today, right? As a result, devotion increased, so that in 1494, the Carmelites built a convent in the place of the apparition. Later, it was transformed into, it was suppressed and transformed in 1802 during the Napoleonic occupation. And so today you can see the place where it was at some point, this convent, right? And so nearby, they constructed the church, the shrine for this apparition site. And the church, the new shrine, was opened to worship on, you guessed it, August 25th, 1838, and consecrated by the then Archbishop of Turin, Monsignor Luigi Franzoni. So that's what we're celebrating today, August 25th, in the Marian world. For today's Marian meditation, taken from the book by Father Ildefonso Villar, we read the concluding point of Meditation 68 on Mary and the death of Jesus. and this point is entitled The Piercing of the Heart. Jesus was dead, but there was still his mother who could continue to suffer for him. And in fact, this was the case. One of the soldiers, to make sure of death, buried his spear into the side of Jesus. The thrust was so vigorous that it went right into the heart. It did not make the son suffer more, but how it pierced the heart of the mother. With what love would she collect the blood that flowed from the heart of her son? The last drop of blood that still remained. The last he was shedding for the salvation of the world. The open side of Christ is a most consoling mystery. Through that wound, as though a large doorway, we can, as so many loving souls have done before, enter freely and hide within the Sacred Heart of Jesus and dwell therein. This happy wound has torn the veil that concealed that heart. Jesus' heart, which had so loved men, lies bare, open to all, so that we may see it, adore it, and learn from it the sublime lesson of his love. You cannot know what love is unless you enter into the most intimate recesses of that heart. That is the unique school, the only model. We may suppose that our Heavenly Mother, in the midst of her sufferings, on contemplating that enormous wound, fell into ecstasy. Before anybody, she was the first to watch that heart. She had never seen it before. Possibly she prostrated herself in adoration and atonement for all those present, as well as for all those who throughout the centuries would come to offend him. That was the first public act of worship and devotion to the Sacred Heart of Jesus. Mary was the first adorer and atoner of this divine heart. Learn from Mary this sanctifying devotion. She is the treasure of the wealth of that heart. She possesses its key. Ask your mother to place you inside the heart of Jesus and to lock you in there, so that you may never abandon that shelter where the lukewarm becomes fervent and the fervent becomes a saint.
Hello, and we hope that you enjoyed listening to our Marian podcast. In the spirit of Saint Bernard of Clairvaux, we say to you that there is no greater delight than to spread the devotion of Our Lady. We hope you share these sentiments and encourage you greatly to share with a loved one. Know that you are always in our prayers, and we ask that you keep us in yours. God bless.